Alright, so backer board is the next one we're going to talk about. This is also called concrete board due to the fact that it's made of partially concrete, or Rhino Board is another, it's a brand name. So if you hear any of those three, that's what this is. A lot of people use this in bathrooms, very sturdy, very waterproof, and right now it kind of seems to be all the rage. People are using this on their floors a lot. This is the 1/2 inch. With this, it's the same idea as plywood. Now, the major difference is that you put a bed of mortar underneath it. You take a 1/4 inch trowel, so we have to put the different size trowels. This one here is a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. So the one you usually use is 1/4 inch by 3/8, but this is basically a square. And you use regular mortar, so you mix that, and we show you how to do all the mixing later on. So I know I've talked a bit about doing some mixing. It's like, well, how do I do that? Don't worry, we do show you every step, no problem. So you would mix this, either called standard or unmodified, same thing, mortar, and put it down with trowel. And once again, we show you how to put it down later on, so don't worry about that too. So once you put your bed of mortar down with the 1/4 by 1/4, then you take the concrete board and set it down over top of it. Now you want to buy a special screw that's meant just for concrete board, and just like your plywood, you screw it in every 4 inches out here and 8 inside. Now the difference between this and plywood, you can't go on the edge. If you were to put a screw right out on the edge here, this would actually break. So you want to keep it back about 1.5 inches. And actually on that note, make sure you buy an 1.25 inch screw. They should know that in the store, but just in case they don't, it's an 1.25 inch screw, and then just remember 1.5 inches away from the edge when you put it down. So that is very important. And good thing about this is once you put that down, you don't have to wait for it to settle. You can jump right on it and start tiling right away. So it obviously makes it very solid due to the fact that it's like concrete and mesh, and you can use it right away. Very heavy to work with, which can be difficult, but works well. Obviously with this kind of thing, you don't just take a knife and cut it, and you don't really want to take a saw and cut through it. Really dusty. Can be done. And I've heard of guys taking their skill saw, flipping the blade backwards, and cutting it that way. Personally, I've never tried it, but some guys say it sharpens your blade. So take that for what it's worth. I haven't personally done it, but you can if you want to. The carbide blade, which I showed you before, and if your mark was here, just take the blade and score through. Now obviously you would want to have some form of straight edge and line it up to your marks, but I'm just doing this just to show you. That would be the idea. So you noticed I didn't go crazy on it. I just gave it that nice score, just like your tile breaker basically. You're scoring it. Now take a round pipe, whatever that may be. Most of us would have some sort of copper pipe or something like that around. I also showed you could use a plastic pipe. And one of the easiest and safest way to do it, stand on one side, stand on the other, and snap. There it is, just like that. So if you want to go over it twice with this, you can, just to give it that nice straight line. I didn't score it as heavy as I should have, just because I didn't have the straight edge. I just wanted to show you for demonstration purposes. But even with that light score, you can see it followed the line pretty well. And then obviously you want to break it in half. And usually goes easier than that. But if not, there we go. This is what happens sometimes, so don't worry about that. If it works well, just take it and snap it that way. If not, just take your tool again, your carbide cutter, and cut through. You can also take your knife and use it as well. It'll obviously dull fast due to the fact it's concrete, but then when you're done, you don't have a great edge. You don't have to butt them. Actually, you don't want to butt them up. Same thing as your plywood. Now you want to try and keep these cut edges on the outside. So anywhere you do cuts, try and keep them away so that you don't have to worry about your weird jagged edges, and that is one of the downfalls to this, besides it being heavy and relatively expensive by the time you have to buy your mortar and the special screws and this stuff. It can add up. Though a lot of guys really swear by it and they say it's the most solid floor, and it's Everybody has a different opinion. Mine is do what works best for you, and what you find that this will be the way that'll work for me. Then go with that, because all of these have proven themselves over the years, and they will continue to do so.